is a document that says it's going to hit the fan. Okay, it's a world-changing document which cancels the Pax Americana. It's an absolute grenade. I mean, like it was back in February. They threw a grenade in the bunker in that German conference. But this is a statement of the end of the world order as we know it, with America just basically saying, we're not having anybody coming in from abroad. We're going to reindustrialize. We've got a problem in Asia, like they've said before. Europe, we don't. I mean, they didn't quite cancel NATO, but they might as well have said that. Now, from an investing point of view, it means that everything's going to explode. I mean, maybe up, maybe down, maybe sideways. But it's certainly not going to be bad for gold or silver or any of those commodities, because everybody now is going to have to go hell for leather, because your supply chains are dead. There are no supply chains anymore. In fact, America's saying we don't want any supply chain outside of America.
You're watching CapitalCosm. My name is Danny. It is December 8th, 2025, and my guest today is Clem Chambers, who I'm glad to have back on the show. Clem, it's always good to hear from you, my friend.
Great to be back on, Danny. Great to be back on.
You know, you and I, we were just talking about the divorce of, or the decoupling of the United States and Europe, as well as the United States and a lot of its other, host countries, like
and the world,
all over the world, and the world, and the world. So apparently, there's this document that was released, a foreign policy document released on November. I want to say Thanksgiving Eve, I believe is when you
Thursday
said.
Thursday night. The National Security Strategy of the United States of America, November 2025. I think it was 8 p.m. after the market closed on Thursday night.
Yeah.
And it's quite the historic document.
So what are the ramifications of this document? What does it mean for the average investor or the average person in general that has a pulse of some sort?
Well, I mean, basically, this is a document that says it's going to hit the fan. Okay, it's a world-changing document which cancels the Pax Americana, or before it's the Pax Britannica. Britain ruled the way, so made sure the world was the world peace meant there could be trade, and America took that up after the Second World War, after kind of making the decisive move in that horrible conflict and getting all the money. And it's been patrolling the world ever since at great expense, making sure that the world was a fit place to do business and make money and spread democracy and freedom and all that good stuff. This document says, I'm not doing that anymore. No. Forget it. Just forget it. Don't care. If you're east of all places, London, So Ireland gets to be a satellite of America, which is quite interesting. So does Britain. Although if you live in Canterbury, you're fine. Everything from Hawaii to London is ours. Anything from Canada to Tierra del Fuego, well, I probably even include a bit of Antarctica in that, is ours. And everybody steer clear of that. If you go near that, we will hurt you. But apart from that, just get on with it. We don't care what goes on elsewhere. That's how you can boil it down, which is, Europe under the bus, Ukraine under the bus, lots of Middle East countries under the bus. Who cares really? I mean, there's a few bad guys we don't like out there. Obviously, Iran we don't like, but Russia, whatever, India, whatever, Thailand, whatever, Japan, well, old friends, I suppose. No, not really, whatever. And China, well, they're not our enemy, says the document, and then lists everybody that's an adversary that just happens to sound like China. It's an isolationist document. America's gone isolationist, and slapped everybody on the way out as well. It's not like they said, "Oh, by the way, we have to." Europe sucks. He says it. Europe sucks so bad they're going to go extinct, which is, I think relatively highly unlikely. But nonetheless, it's, diplomacy, that's a board game apparently. It's an absolute grenade. I mean, like it was back in February. They threw a grenade in the bunker in that German conference. But this is a statement of the end of the world order as we know it, with America just basically saying, we're not having anybody coming in from abroad. We're going to reindustrialize. We've got a problem in Asia, like they've said before. Europe, we don't. I mean, they didn't quite cancel NATO, but they might as well have said that. I mean, it's massive. It's absolutely massive. Now, from an investing point of view, it means that everything's going to explode. I mean, maybe up, maybe down, maybe sideways, but it's certainly not going to be bad for gold or silver or any of those commodities, because everybody now is going to have to go hell for leather, because your supply chains are dead. There are no supply chains anymore. In fact, America's saying we don't want any supply chain outside of America. We have to be totally self-sufficient ourselves, a bit like North Korea. And we don't want any of this supply chain or relying on anything from anybody but us. It's just, we're going back to the Fonz and Happy Days and the Cowboys, and we're going to be, wildcatting, and we're going to be that good old America, John Wayne and all that. And we don't want anything to do with anybody else, unless they're north of us or south of us, which, of course, the Monroe Doctrine, which this is based on, was terrible for South America, because basically America had a monopoly over South America and basically used it as an unofficial colony. And if anybody dared, not do what they were told, they would end up, in a bad way, often dead. So, South America was definitely held in a sort of colonial embrace up until that kind of all went by the by. So Brazil's gonna freak out. I mean, if they've got any sense, they won't say anything. But there's going to be massive waves of reaction and counter-reaction because of this, because it's America's going to party like it's 1844, because the Monroe Doctrine, I can't remember the exact date, but you talk about the 1840s when the world that was there, the President Monroe said, right, Europeans, don't you come anywhere near us, or South America. It's all ours. Now you carry on with your stuff over there, and that'll be fine. Just leave us alone, or you'll be in trouble. Which, of course, was actually just a brag at the time, because they didn't really have much of a navy. But things developed. But to go back from a Pax Americana, which has been brilliant. I mean, you might look around America today and see all the good things might be actually caused by that. That's all gone by the board now. So it's an isolationist. I mean, Kim Jong-un would like this. It's like a North Korean strategy. You don't want anything to do with anybody else. With a forbidden kingdom, with a hermit kingdom, where it's going to be the hermit continent, apparently. Now, hopefully, and I don't hold out much hope for this, this is just Trump's long-term strategy of the week. Yeah. But I don't think it is. And it's going to have, just vast ramifications. If you can call what happens next, then you'll make a lot of money. I mean, I was thinking, I've been putting my toes in on the defense companies in the US, going, Lockheed Martin, they're cheap. Oh, yeah, maybe some of them. And now, of course, I would say, who's going to buy the American war equipment now? Because, America's just going to go, oh, no, I don't like that. Or you can't have it, or you can't have any more of that. Do it yourself. Get on with it. You're not really your ally anymore. So, why would you buy their equipment? You'd want your own, wouldn't you? So maybe all those defense companies would be having a hard time. However, Lockheed Martin's up today. So the game is to predict the outcome of America basically stomping out of the world economy in high dudgeon. That's a very English way of putting it. And what that will do to assets. Because ultimately, the first responsibility of anybody is to themselves and their loved ones. And boy, does this up the risk of the world today. Really, the risk to the world of this is huge, absolutely huge. And, it's opportunity and chaos, as the Chinese would say.
Yeah, you mentioned the fact that decoupling would be inflationary, and that seems to be the case, because if you just follow it logically, globalism was a disinflationary, maybe even deflationary factor.
Definitely deflationary, yeah.
Yeah, deflationary, because you kind of democratized the supply chains across the globe. Now you've got these bottlenecks that are coming into existence, which are obviously an inflationary tailwind, let's call it.
Well, they're not meant to be bottlenecks because it won't be coming in. You'll be making it at home. Rare earth, you make it at home. Steel, you make it at home. It'll all be at home. But of course, the cost base of that is higher. So it's not a bottleneck so much as you're making it and you're much more expensive. Right. So that causes inflation. On top of that, you've got to fund all this build out of all these steel plants and aluminium plants and refineries and nuclear power stations and all that stuff. It all takes new money. Yeah. Now, in the old days, you go and you raid some third world country for all their money, which was gold. Which of course you can't do that anymore. And fortunately, money isn't gold. You've got to print it. Well, you've got to print it, so you print it. Okay. Well, it's pretty famous for making inflation that, and you've really got to match your money supply with your money demand, and you've got to make sure the money goes there. It's no good printing money to build factories and it all goes into real estate. Or it all goes into the stock market and goes into tech companies and Facebook goes up. They're not going to build any of your steel mills, are they? So you've somehow got to print that money and make it go to your reindustrialization, make it go to your local supply chains. That's no one's. Yeah, good luck with that. Well, Good luck doing that without creating inflation.
Is that what they're trying to do with Venezuela? Because it seems like what they're trying to do with Venezuela is, again, lock down the Western Hemisphere, build out Fortress America, decouple themselves from China's supply chain, and by doing so, leverage South America's resources as a suitable replacement to China. Now, Venezuela is but one goalpost in a list of goalposts. Obviously, the big one should be, one would think, is Brazil, governed by Lula da Silva. But do you think this will be successful in the end? And then number two, I mean, isn't this what we've all been asking for a long time now, is for the United States to be less interventionist and become more concerned with its own affairs instead of meddling in the affairs of others?
Well, there's being less interventionist and there's being a hermit. Isolation isn't necessarily less engagement. You can do less engagement. You don't have to say, go away, everybody. You don't have to say to your allies for the last however many, practically a century, oh, you're doomed. You're rubbish, you are. You're so rubbish. You don't have to do that, do you? I mean, you just read it. It's there. I mean, you couldn't make it up, really. It's there. It is, it'll be unrecognizable in 20 years and the culture's dying. What would Americans know about European culture in that end of town? I don't know. But, it's like you don't have to stomp out. You don't have to throw your glass of champagne in their face and stomp out, do you? I mean, that's not good. And think of all the capital, intangible capital that America has had in the West. Europe has loved America for a long, long time, and they're taking that capital, those in government right now, and are absolutely throwing it in the dumpster. They're almost going out of their way to offend as many people as possible in Europe, as if that's a good thing. Maybe it is. Maybe it's 4D chess. And, the unintended consequences of that, I think, are pretty major, apart from, Walt Disney's not going to have so many people turning up at Florida. I mean, tourism it's going to absolutely, well, it's collapsed already, but it will continue to collapse. And, that's just one industry. But, if everybody stops buying all those airplanes that want to make stuff go bang, and stops coming to America, stops buying American media, cuts off all the Mag 7 because they're all part of the propaganda arm of the USA. That's not so good, is it?
What if they're
buying Chinese mobile phones instead of Apple, because Apple's now part of this spiky porcupine of a thing?
But doesn't it seem like they're gearing up for something big? Like they're preparing for a war or maybe even a Cold War with China?
That's not good.
That seems to be the case, because it seems like they want to decouple from China's like they can't start a war with China if they're so reliant on their supply chain. So they have to first decouple from China, rebuild the supply chain back here, and then pick
and put the nose out of joint of 500 million people with a lot of money. That's always been your allies. That's really smart. I mean, you could say, well, they're not very reliable, they're not very reliable, and they're a bit they whiffle. I mean, when Article 5 of NATO was invoked because of 9/11, all the Europeans came, and the British, sat there getting shot at, on the basis of supporting America in this time of need, because it called on its allies. And if you're going to go toe to toe with China, I should think you'd want some, moral support and at least the backing of 500 million rich people. It's just a, whatever it is, it's daring. Let's just put it there. It's very daring. And, it will, I believe, it will absolutely kick Europe into high gear. And maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's what's wanted, that Europe is an independent, because Europe's 500 million people, America's only 350. And Europe's 500 million people, and it's got roughly the same sort of, GDP power. It's an equivalent power. It's saying it's a load of old rubbish and it's doomed. That's, I mean, remember, this is a complete change of policy from what had gone before for the last pretty much century, since 1946. All right, 80 years. So they've gone in and said, what's gone for the last 80 years is complete rubbish and is of no value. Tear it up, throw it in their faces and storm off. Doesn't seem like the way to go ahead. Even if you want to do what you want to do, it would be better to say, do it gently, be sensible about it, not lay down the law as if you know best about everything.
Yeah, if you were to break up with a girlfriend or something, you wouldn't just.
It's like America's the girlfriend, and she's cutting the ties and thrown his trousers out the window
in front of his friends.
In front of his friends, that's right.
Well, what's your prognosis on Europe? You said that this might have some unintended effects on Europe, might put them into high gear. What's your view on how Europe might maneuver after this?
Well, I think they'll either shift up a gear or they'll just plow on as if nothing's happened. And if you look at the media, I mean, some pop star that's going to get an award is higher up the news than this. And, this is the biggest news for, in 20 years, without a doubt, unless it is the long-term strategy of the week. Then, they pull the lever. Yeah, we're going to flush this all down the toilet, and clunk, clunk, nothing happens. We're going to do this with the army, and the army kind of slow marches it. You're going to be out of power in a year. We're not going to move very quickly. Because, it involves, America's got the biggest armed forces, bigger than the sum total of the next 18 armed forces. Now, that's old data. It's probably about 5 years old. And of those 18 forces, something like 12 of them are allies. So it means absolutely laying off the American army left, right, and center. I mean, it means absolutely cutting back on the American armed forces dramatically. You would say by like 80%. And that's going to go down like a lead balloon, isn't it? So, the implications, okay, we're not going to meddle in anyone's affairs. We're not going to go bomb Iran. We're not going to sail our ships around the world saying, stop that. Or we are where we, in Asia, around China and Taiwan, we're going to do that. But, we kind of sounds like we might be pulling out our guys out of Germany. We don't need so many air bases anymore. Get rid of all that. Get rid of all. It's a lot less soldiers. It's a lot smaller army. Yeah, unless you're going to go invade Brazil, which they're not, are they? I mean, we'll see. But, the actual ramifications of this disengagement is gigantic. And what happens when all the other countries say, we don't want the American products anymore? We don't like Budweiser. We don't like Jack Daniels anymore. Coca-Cola, not such a fancy brand anymore. We don't want Google and Disney. In fact, they cut Google off. We're going to cut Google off. We're going to cut Facebook off. They're doing us serious damage to our social structure. X, we don't need that anymore. Cut. What, it's potentially a real, well, it's just a massive negative. All that goodwill, that if more than me reads it, if everybody in the UK and Europe read that document in their language, they go, "Rah! What? I'm gonna cancel my well, as I say, it will do in tourism from Europe, but they've stopped drinking Coca-Cola. Maybe not, but you see what I'm saying. It's the goodwill that America has is a massive asset, and this thing absolutely attempts to shred it, and that it's I've read it 3 times. It's so unbelievable, but I totally get the strategy. After all, it served America since 1840. But isolationism, in a sense, is based on the fact that places are very far apart, and there's no planes. You have to get in a ship and go 3 months to get anywhere. Whereas nowadays it's all minutes away, and international engagement, it seems like, this international engagement is frustrating. Nobody does the obvious thing. Nobody is sensible. Nobody is, wants to have peace and do business and be sensible and have a level playing field and give up. Just shut that shit down. You can bleep that out. Yeah. Shut that down. And we don't want to do that anymore. Just, throw up the force fields, Planet America, back to the old days, the Fonz and John Wayne, and we don't need these guys.
You may have seen this headline recently. The U.S. just expanded its critical minerals list to 60 strategic resources, adding copper, silver, and uranium. Depending on the outlet, this move is framed as anything from, quote-unquote, strengthening national security to, quote-unquote, escalating a resource war with China. Same event, totally different narratives. This is exactly why I rely on Ground News. It's a platform that lets you compare coverage across the political spectrum, so you can see how each side is framing the same story. So when I open this minerals update on Ground News, I can instantly see that over 70 sources have reported on this story. Scrolling down, we can compare the headlines. Some sources focus on economic resilience, others warn about geopolitical escalation. Taking a look at the bias distribution, we can see a pretty even split between right, center, and left-leaning sources. But my favorite feature is the blind spot feature. It shows you which stories are being underrepresented by each side, and political audiences aren't seeing the story at all. That alone says a lot. I like Ground News because it doesn't tell you what to think. It just shows you the full picture so you can decide for yourself. Now, if you want a better way to stay informed, you can get 40% off the Vantage plan by using my link, ground.news/COSM, or by clicking on the link in the description box down below. It comes out to around $5 a month.
Yeah, I mean, and it also seems they haven't really gone full isolationist yet, because they still have the Iran war that they put on ice since the summer. I mean, that could blow up at any time. Iran's preparing for another.
Yeah, what are they going to do now? I mean, yes, obviously there will be a defense of Israel, but they're kind of saying, no more Iraqs, no more Syrias, no more Afghanistans, none of that. If you want to do all that stuff, go for it. We'll sell you we'll sell the people we like the weapons to go kill you, but we're not gonna interfere that much. Although there is a sort of, we're going to interfere in Europe on the telling you what to do, what's good for you, because we know best, and all that good stuff. Information war is still on the cards. It would seem from the document, but you can just firewall. It's just a disintegration of the global integration that we've all enjoyed, right? We all like to have X. We all like to have Google. We all like iPhones. We all like that. And Americans like to come to Paris, and French people like to go to Disneyland. And it's all, one big happy family. It's not people going around telling each other that their cultures are doomed and that they're all retards. I mean, it's not, let me put it this way. It is not good for business, but it is good for gold. It's very good for precious metals.
But aren't they just shifting? I guess aren't they just shifting capital from Europe to the Middle East in this case? I mean, a lot of capital flight is going from Europe and into places like Dubai and the rest of the UAE. It seems like they're moving over to the Middle East as their next,
Well, dollar's going down, right? And now it's really going down. Dollar's going to go down a long way because they're going to have to devalue the dollar. Right? Well, it'll be through inflation. Yeah, because they're going to have to bring that down. Now, it will be an economic priority to have the dollar as a competitive currency. It's way too strong. Look at the long-term charts of the dollar against other currencies. It's way too high. And they will be bringing that down. Now, if you're in dollars or you're dollar denominated, you're going to go, oh, hey, I want out of here. And you are definitely seeing that. But you're seeing that from American companies. So, if American companies see hard times or the fact that their dollars are going to get less, the impact on the financial system is going to be tricky, very, 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 very tricky. But good news is everybody in the US that matters in this debate, for or against, all their money is in the stock market or in real estate, which is the same thing, right? Nobody pro-Trump or anti-Trump can afford to see the stock market collapse. So that's a good copper bottom. Because ultimately, I read that, I'm not a politician. I'm not going to save any state from decline or degeneracy. I'm just there to make money out of other people's foolish decisions. After all, if I'm buying, they're selling, their decision's foolish, right? So, you know, it's very interesting because I'm a precious metal guy for the time being, and this is certainly really strong. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So, well, I've been saying that long enough.
Yeah. So, I mean, speaking of gold, I mean, this has just come out from Bank of America chief investment strategist Michael Hartnett, and he says he thinks that oil and energy stocks are the best contrarian bet for 2026. You can see there the headline says, soon all commodity charts will look like gold.
Well, you know, Danny,
on commodities.
I've been saying on my YouTubes in the last 2 weeks the following. So I don't know whether he watches my YouTubes or not. I don't know. But I've been saying that there won't be commodities. There'll be luxuries. Yeah. Because commodities presupposes that they're available in bulk and that they're cheap. That's really what commodity means as a word. Mm-hmm. That's the synonym for what a commodity is. Commodities are going up a long way because AI is going to consume them all. And there's going to be a vast attempt at economic growth. And that's going to suck in all the commodities and turn them into stuff. And AI is the extreme version of that. And commodities are just going to go absolutely ballistic.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like this Michael Hartnett guy, he's been watching your channel because here, second bullet point, it says, he says that the Trump's administration's quote unquote run it hot economic policy will see commodities boom and outpace bonds next year.
Yeah, well, I'm not a bond person, so I don't comment on bonds, but he links it all up with bonds because I saw that today. And I thought, I've been saying that for the last 3 weeks. So I was at a conference in Germany, which is all commodities. And it was like with the stuff I'm doing in rare earth, because I'm a rare earth guy these days. I work with a university on rare earth technology. And it's just obvious that there's not enough of this stuff. Copper, there's nowhere near enough of it. You know, aluminium, well, that gets sucked up by copper. Yeah, and obviously rare earth, well, you know, how's this? China, 90% of rare earth, that's going to make a mess. And America's basically guaranteed double the price for rare earth if it's mined in the US. And where's all this energy coming from that's going to power all this AI then? Nuclear power, that consumes your rare earth and your money like water. And apparently China just cracked thorium reactors, which is another area I've kind of been in a way. And, you know, it's all going to be about doing it onshore at any cost. It's just going to suck up all the commodities. Hard commodities, I don't think it's going to make cotton go through the roof unless we all need a spare pair of underpants with all what's going on. But, you know, the actual hard commodities are all going to go, all the metals. And then oil will follow. Because ultimately, oil is all energy is fungible. Okay, if oil is X, gas is Y. If coal is A, then whatever nuclear is B. It's all part of a chain of relative values, and it's all linked together. Yeah. So when you start that's one of the reasons platinum and palladium are going, is that platinum and palladium are going to go back into car cat converters because all the electricity. Easy to get to electricity is going to go to AI, and therefore oil is going to go, petroleum is going to cars. They're going to keep cars petroleum because the electricity is going to be heading off to AI. Because underneath all this news is an AI war that's going to go on with China. Because at the end of the day, the smartest country will win. And underneath this all, it's all about America being, you know, the number one colossus. Even though it's disengaging from the world, it's kind of like, right, we need to become the colossus again. We spent all our money looking after you people. We're going to go away into hiding. We're going to go up the mountain and, like Rocky, rebuild our muscles in isolation. Then we're going to come back and be the big I am again. Well, you know, could work, could happen. Worked last time around. But the point is that there is going to be a war if there isn't already one. There probably is, and that's going to be at the AI level because the smartest country is going to win, isn't it? There's no You know, if you go to a country which is not very bright because it's primitive, like, you know, the colonialists used to do, and you've got some muskets and all they've got is stones to throw at you, you're going to conquer, aren't you? And AI is the same sort of dynamic. If you're smarter than that person by, say, 50 IQ points, you're gonna conquer them, aren't you? One way or the other. They might not even know they've been conquered.
Yeah, that's how covert it would be. Here's a chart of oil really quick, but I also want to chart OIH, which is the oil services ETF, and look at that here in a second too. And
I think, Danny, the thing about oil and the thing about these shows is everybody's looking for what's going to happen tomorrow. And the way to position this is probably 18 months out, I would say. 18 months to 2 years out. It could happen faster, but it never does. When I see something coming, it always takes a lot longer. So the thing to do is to bear in mind that oil, petroleum, and all that stuff is going to go up at some point, and why. So you say it's going to go up because of this, and this, and then you need to watch for it to start happening. Or you can just look at the chart. I'm going to look at the chart, and the moment it starts to go, which is my favorite catchphrase at the moment, when it goes, that's the beginning of it. And I'm going to wait for that to happen.
Well, here's an interesting insight, because I've got oil in yellow, and then in white, I've got the oil service companies ETFs. And I mean, clearly there's a divergence there. It appears that some sort of outperformance in the oil service companies. Is this a case of smart money kind of getting ahead of the trade here when it comes to oil? Because they don't appear to believe in the fact that oil has much more downside if they're just moving this price up here on the oil service side.
Oil is one of those things that's got a lot of inertia in it, because there's still a large number of people that are still on the climate change wagon. And they haven't noticed, like people haven't noticed this document, they haven't noticed that's all gone. Now, there's vestiges of it, and Europe's got is still on that wagon to an extent. But, you know, we are now in a situation where it is a dash for growth and a dash for energy security and a dash for AI power supplies. So it's a mad rush for as much energy as you can possibly get. I mean, I saw this thing that made me chuckle, which was saying that China was going green because it had all these windmills and it had all these solar panels. And I flew into Beijing a few weeks ago, and there they were, the windmills, loads of windmills, impressive amount of windmills. And there it was, a load of solar panels, impressive amounts of solar panels. And then we came into Beijing, and the thickest pea soup smog you've ever seen. They used to have them in Britain in the 1930s when they burned coals in London.
When was
it? Smog. Yeah, and the thing is, they'll have it all. They don't care where they get their energy from. They'll take it from any corner they can get it. Oil, coal, gas, nuclear, thorium now. They're just solar, windmills. They'll have it all.
Well, just recent? Because when last time I went to Beijing, which was in 2018, I mean, it was pretty clear back then.
Yeah, this was about 6 weeks ago.
Oh, okay, yeah, very recent.
So I was on a British government mission, and I went via Beijing. And it was like, so you could see all this green energy, and then you could see they were burning coal like crazy too. It's an energy rush, right? Energy is life, energy is power, and Trump's basically saying that. And that's why you're going to build all these nuclear power stations. Nuclear power, that's Satan incarnate, and all of a sudden they're going to be building it, and no one's saying no, yeah. Because
I mean, AI is so brilliant. It solved the green energy problem. It solved the climate change problem, because now it's just like a complete reversal of what we were hearing pre-2023, which is just dump everything you've got into this thing. Dump everything you've got into these data centers. Coal, natural gas, nuclear power, oil, whatever it is, wood. Just throw whatever you got to power these data centers.
Well, you know, that is why it will, the electric car is probably under a certain amount of threat these days, because the infrastructure to get the electricity to these data centers is not there and can't be made overnight. So it'd be like, yeah, let's slow down the electrification of vehicles somewhat, shall we? And keep them burning oil. Oh, by the way, they're going to need that platinum. Oh, by the way, they're going to need that palladium. So platinum and palladium, only one way they're going in my book. Gold and silver, well, you know, now they pulled the pin out of that grenade. You know, that's got a copper bottom on it. And now it's going to be, they've got to go print, and they won't let the stock market crash because all those people in American government, it's funny, they want to ban senators and representatives from having shares, okay, because they do this insider trading, and that's bad. But that's like suicidal. The reason these things go up is because their skin's in the game, and you want to take your politicians' skin out of that game, and you've got stocks. The moment they've got nothing to lose from stocks crashing, they'll be crashing, won't they? It's like, oh, we don't want those senators making money out of stocks. No. Have you got money in stocks? Yes. It's not fair. What happens when they haven't got money in stocks? What's going to happen to stocks? I think they might go down. They won't be looking at that one when there's a crash. They won't be saying, "Oh yeah, bail out the Dow, will you?" Yeah, I think that's a good idea because I've got
but these guys are still going to have stocks. I mean, they're still going to be stock investors. They're just not going to be able to, just get a little insider knowledge.
You should have seen that market with the Trump tariff tantrum. Yeah, crash straight back up again. Where do you think that came from?
Yeah, that was
guardian angels in the government.
Mm-hmm.
And why did they care? Well, they cared because their stocks are in there. I mean, you could say that's because they have the stock market's best interests at heart, and all those little private investors interested in heart.
Yeah, but these are all like the people in Congress they're all 1% elite types. I mean, they're going to have stocks regardless.
No, right? They won't. Not if they're banned. Because the idea is to ban them holding it. There's people moving to have bills that said they were not allowed to hold stocks.
Oh, if they ban ownership of stocks, then yes.
Yeah, there's been moves to ban the ownership of senators and representatives holding stocks at all.
Oh, yeah.
Because of all the ethical implications. But of course, that's like the reason our stocks keep going up and up and up and up is because maybe they've got skin in the game.
Yeah.
And this is the thing to bear in mind with this move is that all parties, pro or con, have got skin in the game in the markets, and they won't let it crash. So there's a copper bottom there.
Yeah, but I mean, they'll still find a way to own stocks through like family members or stuff or things like that.
You just get thrown in jail in America because everyone's looking out to throw you in jail if you're in politics. I mean, it's like lawfare is just an appalling situation in the US. So if anybody coughs on the wrong day, they'll have them. And so, if you start mucking about with that sort of rule, you won't be around for very long because your political enemy will dig that information out. Well, it's like, who gets to see your mortgage documents? Nobody. And then all of a sudden, all these people are getting there. Oh, you've signed a second mortgage saying that's your primary home, and that's mortgage fraud. And that's just on an obscure document, and somehow that all comes out. So you wouldn't want to be holding loads of options now, would you, or shares? That would be absolute political suicide in America. Get away with it in Europe, probably.
But what about the argument that maybe the stock market does need some detox in this case? Because it has been juiced up in many more ways than one.
Sure. You could do with living in a desert for a few months. That would make you much more fitter, and you'd be much better off after that near-death experience. It'd be good for character. You really would.
Well, Clem, anything else you want to talk about? I think we covered.
No. I just, I think the stock market in the US is on a very solid footing, and there will be a bubble, and that bubble will come, and bear in mind when it comes that it's a bubble, and don't get out early. Get out, just before the top or just after the top, but just bear in mind it's a bubble. Yeah, and remember, like a lot of people in American politics, don't confuse your brains with a bull market. There's a lot of people out there swinging their way around that have confused their brains with the bull market, and that's causing trouble. Gold is going up, silver's going up. Don't know about Bitcoin. Yeah, platinum, palladium's going up. Chaos will reign now, unless we get a long-term strategy of the week, which I don't think we're going to.
Well, let me ask you this. I'm looking at the bond market right now. Japanese 10 years up 1% today, 30 years up 1% as well. What do you make of these rising yields?
The tension with China is going through the roof, isn't it?
But also European bonds too. I mean, it's pretty much everywhere.
Oh, is it? Okay. Yeah. Well, it wouldn't surprise me if the policeman of the world decides to go into retirement.
So you think it's geopolitical as opposed to?
Well, I mean, it's the biggest news, not in the headlines right now. It's massive news, and it's government level news, and it's all about what you've got to do now that America has said, look after your. I mean, the cost of militaries is vast, right? I mean, that's half the trouble. That's would be Trump's point. Why are we paying for all this? Why are we paying for all this? Well, there's reasons, but if you all of a sudden have to pay for it yourself, you have to spend an extra 2 or 3% of GDP on things that go bang and whoosh. Your cost of, and you're already running deficits like there's no tomorrow, then it's going to put pressure on your money supply, isn't it? Or on your interest rates. I mean, it is. I mean, I don't know if the penny takes some time to drop, it might actually. I mean, it's good in many ways that we haven't had a massive market reaction.
Yeah, well, the U.S. 10-year is up 1% today. I mean, that's a pretty big number. 30 years up 0.65% as well, U.S. 30 year as well. So it seems to be happening in all directions.
Yeah, well, everyone's got to be upping their budget. Everyone's got to be going for growth. Everybody's got to be, running it hot. Well, then your interest rates go up, doesn't it?
Yep.
And so then, there you go. And I'm not a bond person. I should care a lot about bonds, but I don't. I'm not a bond guy. But there you go. It's backing me up. Or a coincidence. Which is it? I don't know.
Because you're leaving, when you look at Japan, if you're Japanese, you've got to make the choice, if you're part of the Japanese central bank, whether to save the yen carry trade or save your currency at that point. Because the only way to save the yen carry trade would then be to, I guess, monetize the debt, just buy up your own debt, and bring down the yield curve. On that
I think they've got plenty of ways of doing these things. They are no longer clueless Muppets like they were maybe 25 years ago. They do know what they're doing. It's a question of whether you realize what it is they think they're doing or not. I mean, Japan's wanted to be Japan light for quite some time, wanted to bring down its population, make some more room, have the money from the older generation filter down to the younger generation. And that's what it's been playing for. But it's now going on a little bit of a different tack because, China is raising to such an extent economic power and seems to have a venomous hate for Japan that, they're starting to probably sweat a bit. And who could blame them? I mean, now America's basically cut them loose because that is west of Hawaii.
Yeah. Well, all right, my friend, where can people find you if they want to see more of your work?
Well, I'm inspired by you, Danny. I've got a Substack these days, and that's been going really, really well. I don't normally talk about geopolitics, but when someone lets off a hydrogen bomb in that zone and it's going to affect assets, then I'm going to cover it. And, there's lots of implications, but the big obvious one could be wrong. Gold could go down, right? Interest rates could go through the roof and nobody wants gold. But it's an increasing world of increasing stress, and that's going to put a bottom under gold. And of course, it's going to be an inflationary world, and that puts a bottom under gold. And everyone's going to be rushing for growth. That's the thing. It's going to be such a rush for growth, and it depends whether they go into financial repression or not. Because if they go into financial repression, interest rates will come down, and everybody will be forced to put their cash with a non-yielding bond like the good old days. And that can happen, but we will see which way the Fed pivots because it'll all be about the Fed. But, this is even bigger news than if the news on Thursday was that they were closing the Fed or something crazy like that. And it's absolutely huge. The ramifications of it will unfold. And it seems that they're not going to unfold overnight. I mean, Friday, nothing particularly much happened. And now you've got bonds twitching. But everybody's taking it calmly, which I think is actually denial. I think they're in denial about it, and how long the penny takes to drop is going to be interesting. But we will see. Normally, we'll see. I mean, we'll see how long it takes. I could be wrong, but I think this is the biggest thing that's happened since 2009.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it, unless it's like you said, the long-term strategy of the week.
Long-term strategy of the week. Yeah, well, I don't know whether I should say. Well, I hope for the best for everybody.
Yeah. Well, we'll have the links to all of your socials down below, Clem. Guys, be sure to check it out and comment. Go, Clem, go in the comment section if you agreed or even disagreed. Let me know what you disagreed on. Like the video, comment down below, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss an episode. I do, in fact, read all the comments and the engagement, whether they be likes, comments, even shares, bell notification icon. They do help in pushing this video and this message and this channel up in the algorithm. So if you'd like to support me in a nice and easy way that's free, everyone's favorite 4-letter F word, then a little bit does go a long way. And then we also have a Substack as well, capitalcosm.substack.com. Get access to all of my interviews early, ad-free, and uncensored. So with all that said, I appreciate your time, guys, and I will catch you later. Have a good one.
Don't forget to censor me. Don't forget to censor me.
Oh, yes, you've been a naughty boy, Clem. You have to get out the red marker.
See you soon.